Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Money Matters Top Tips for Success, where each and every day I bring on new business owners, entrepreneurs, and executives and have them share their top tips for success with you. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres to keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, all that other good stuff. Love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, moneymatterstoptips.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Jason Zhang on the line, and he is co-founder over at Zhang Co Moving Company. Jason, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So I'm excited to get more into how you and your co-founder Nathan started Zhang Co Moving Co and what you're up to nowadays. But before we do that, let's get a little bit more into your background. So how did you get inspired to really get out there and become an entrepreneur?
So growing up as a child, I was born and raised in Texas, and I moved here. I moved to North Carolina before sixth grade, and I've always been a very kind of driven student, always trying to figure out how I can make most out of my studies. I didn't really figure out that I wanted to do business along some sort of avenue until really junior year of high school. And that's when I started, taking these personal finance classes at my high school and looking into what kind of opportunities business had in store and what I could do. I also joined this business club called DECA, which is actually a nationwide organization across like thousands of high schools, where they kind of took these students and sent them to development conferences and things like that and competitions just to get them exposed to the business world. And I've always really looked at entrepreneurship as something that was just, super interesting, but I didn't really think that I was ready for it. I always kind of thought of it as something way out there. You got to have everything put together. You have to be, you have to have a super brilliant idea and things like that. But so just going into competing with this club and also taking these classes, I really started to get into more and more with looking into the business world and the opportunities that business had, especially for entrepreneurship and things like that.
Man, that's awesome. And I know you're young in your entrepreneurial career, but I'm excited to get into the company you started. Mm-hmm. But I also know that you're currently a student at Duke University. I bring that up for a reason, not because age has anything to do with it, but I always like to tell people that we can always learn from from people, no matter what their age, no matter what their success level, whether they've been really successful or whether they maybe had some stumbles along the way. I mean, that's the whole point, and that's why I get a lot of pleasure out of doing this podcast, because I get to hear stories from all across not only the state, but actually the world in this case. Mm-hmm. But being said, Jason, what kind of, obviously you're a couple years into your business now, and what kind of advice would you give to that maybe even that DECA student that's out there that's thinking about launching a business and they're going to hear this? Because I know DECA, that was a big organization. I was even in high school. What kind of advice would you give to that new entrepreneur that's really just getting out there and getting started?
I'd say one thing for sure is that you should never underestimate your own capabilities, and you should never think that you're not up for something. And if you really think that you want to get something started, just there's so many resources out there to help you along. Especially through DECA, you'll be with these great faculty members who actually have worked in the professional field before they started teaching. There's so many resources online for where you can find, how to start a business or what to look out for, what things you got to take care of. And these aren't like really difficult things. They're just things that not many people might know how to do, but they're not super difficult. So as long as you have that initiative to go out and do your own research and due diligence and, figure out what you need to do before you do it, then you're already at a much better place than a lot of people, especially people our own age in high school. So just to never think that a task is too much for you. Sometimes high schoolers would think, okay, that's like something that I can't really do until college. That's something I can't really do until I graduate college and have experience. Like we have, even the world, they need these young leaders who are kind of the next generation. And something like starting this moving business, it might not be something that's going to be like super big 30 years down the line, maybe not something that you hope for like that. But at the same time, doing these things, taking initiative, gaining the experience you need, those are all things that would be super helpful to these young students today as they get prepared for going on to the future.
That's awesome. Love it. And let's switch it up. I think that's a great transition too. So let's get a little bit more into Zhang Co Moving. So tell us a little bit more about the company.
So we started out over the summer, or actually towards the end of our senior year. So both me and my partner Nathan, we've grown up together. We've been really good friends since 7th grade. And, we were looking at employment opportunities because we didn't really have much lined up for that summer. And we looked around and we saw, other high schoolers taking jobs in the food industry, working as cashiers, delivery drivers, and, waitresses and waiters, things like that. And that wasn't something that we felt is an opportunity for growth. It's just something that you do. And then also, so we started looking at starting our own business, and we looked around and we saw what out there has a high demand for the service, but not many supplying it. And we came across moving, and not really high scale moving, but really low scale moving for those people, for the market of those people who really want to just move a couple pieces of furniture across town, or even just rearranging heavy things inside their own home, like that. I mean, you wouldn't hire a full-blown moving service for those kind of jobs. And what do we have? We have me and my partner Nathan and a bunch of our other friends who we found who own trucks and are all super capable in moving things around the house that maybe certain senior citizens might not be able to do. And they're looking for people like us to help them do whatever in the house that they might not be able to do. So that was something that we had to find out. We looked at the market that might not be served right now, and then we looked at how to reach that market. And we knew that lots of our parents, so lots of these parents have this app called Nextdoor, which is like a neighborhood app that kind of served as a way for parents to communicate. And they talk about neighborhood issues or safety issues and things like that, or a couple of students advertise their tutoring services on that app. And so we said, why not advertise our moving business on that app? We reached that target market. There's no cost at all in joining that app and posting about our business. So we did. We had Nathan write one post, only one post, just advertising about our moving services and stuff like that. And we had a huge response of many people, especially senior citizens, who needed young men to help them move things around. Also, another market we had was college students, where they're moving into their dorms and they couldn't really afford a full moving business. So they looked to students like us to help them out and just move a few things. So that's kind of how we got started. And we found out we had this huge untapped market that not that many people were serving. And so we stuck with it throughout the whole summer.
Man, that's huge, and I get it, and it makes a lot of sense. And I think some of the people listening, they've been in that situation where you're like, all right, I don't need that big moving truck to come. I don't need this, and I don't need that. I just need a couple of things, especially for people that are out of state or moving or something like that, and they may not know a lot of people yet in that area. Right. And then if you're in an area where people don't have a lot of trucks in the first place, you're like, hey, can I just get somebody to help me with this?
Exactly.
That's a great, and you don't want to pay $400 for a moving company to be like, hey, can you help me? And this takes literally 10 minutes. I love it. That's a great story, and I love the transition. And I love the way you went about logically thinking how you could create value for people. You tested the market, you put up your post, you got a response, it validated your idea, and then you were able to take that next step after that. So I think a lot of times people maybe do the opposite. They come up with the product first, and they just they think that, they become the solution for a problem that doesn't exist, as they say. You found a problem, you found a way to solve it, and you were rewarded, obviously, by getting clients for solving that problem. So great stuff there. So Jason, if somebody wants to connect with you as a young budding entrepreneur, or even to get more information about your moving business, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
So right now, I think the best way would just be on LinkedIn. Is my name, Jason Zhang, and you'll probably see me as an intro to student at Duke University. You can feel free to reach out through LinkedIn and message me about any questions or things like that, or if you simply just want to just talk about entrepreneurship and business in general. I'm certainly free to help.
That's awesome. Well, hey, Jason, thanks again for coming on the show today and sharing more about your background and all the good work you're doing. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes store, share this with your friends and family. I mean, do all those great things we do to support our podcasters. I really do appreciate it. And Jason, thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me on.
All right, so I'll cut the audio there. Man, great interview. I love your story. I love the way you explained it. I love the thought process. It makes sense, though, because you were with DECA, so I remember that when I was in high school. And I'm like, you get a lot of good mentors, a lot of good ways for people to think, and you get to train your mind early so that you don't maybe have to make some of the mistakes that others make further down the line. So great stuff there.
Exactly.
So quick side note. So I'm going to shoot the audio over to my team. They'll do all the editing and all that good stuff. And in my opinion, this will probably be live they're pretty quick. So this will be live probably by the end of next week. So they're pretty fast. That being said, you'll get an email from my assistant, Julius. That's an important one to look out for. That's going to have your links to iTunes, Spotify. You'll have a full YouTube video, an Instagram video, Facebook video, LinkedIn video, more videos and social media content than you ever thought you needed or wanted or cared about is on its way to your inbox. So,
That's great.
Just keep your eye out for that. And if you don't get it by the end of next week, please ping us back. Maybe it went into your spam or something else, but Julius is pretty meticulous about getting those out. So you should have it by the end of next week at the latest. If you don't, then follow back up and we'll see what happened. Other than that, thanks again for coming on the show.